Hey folks, it's Famous Dave here and welcome to this series of videos all about strumming. Strumming and general rhythmic skill is a huge part of our playing. You might even say it's half of what we do when we play, since one hand is responsible for fretting chords and notes and the other is responsible for strumming or fingerpicking, which I also have a series of videos on, and you can check out that link in the description below. Now this video is going to concentrate on the basic movements and techniques that we use in our strumming hand, and it'll deal with how to practice and improve those techniques. So let's get straight into it. Strumming does two main things at once. It obviously creates the basic strumming pattern and distinctive sound of the song, but it also helps us keep time. Now we can achieve those two things at the same time with one simple movement of the arm. It's just a regular down, up motion. I like to think of it as a pendulum on its side. A pendulum basically swings regularly from side to side like this, like in a grandfather clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. And our strumming arm essentially does the same thing, but just rotated through 90 degrees. So the first thing to do is to get used to this regular motion, down, up, down, up. We're going to practice this first by muting the strings with the fretting hand, and at a nice slow pace we're going to strum down, up, over and over. I want you to say the words out loud as you do this. Down, up, down, up. Keep it going for 30-40 seconds or so. Down, up, keep it nice and relaxed, not too fast, not too aggressive, just relaxed, slow, even, measured, up, down, up. Notice too that my wrist isn't moving. All the movement comes from my elbow, and the back of the palm, the wrist, the forearm and the elbow all form a straight line. Down, up, down, up, etc. At this point, I'm going to mention that while I'm using a plectrum for these exercises, you can also do this without a pick, using your finger and thumbnails to do the down and up strums, like so. Your fingers will move down, so the nails on the fingers will do the down strum, and the thumb, the nail on the thumb, will do the up strum. You'll need to get used to letting the fingers and thumb revolve in a circular motion as you do this. Let me turn here so you can see this better. There's the fingers kind of raking and the thumb comes back. But in principle, it's the very same as using a plectrum. And you can also just use the pad of your thumb for both down and up strums. However, too much of that will result in a blister on your thumb, and that is no fun, so I do not recommend it. However, the plectrum and the fingers both work in basically exactly the same way when it comes to the motion of the arm. When we play music, there's always an element of counting involved. You know about the basics of counting beats at this stage, but just to recap, most music is made up of little sections of time all stitched together, and each section is called a beat. Now we count these while we play, and for simplicity's sake we tend to group these beats together into little repeating figures called bars. So we have a series of beats with a bar around it, and then one bar follows another bar. A bar can have different numbers of beats in it, but 4 beats per bar is by far the most common that we encounter. We'll also find 3 beats per bar occasionally, but 4, as I said, is the most common. Now, I'm going to concentrate on the 4 beats per bar in this video and in all of these videos for now, but the strumming technique is the same regardless of how many beats we're counting per bar. Now, counting the beat itself is built into the strumming motion because it's a regular repeating movement, just like a beat of music. Let's now count our beats out loud while we strum, again muting with the fretting hand. The down strums are all going to be on the numbered beats, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the space that exists between each number, notice how we're bringing the hand up again. It has to come up after every down strum. And we're going to call this movement, the up movement, will be and. So the so-called and of the beat is exactly halfway between each number. So it should sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the downs and ups are all evenly spaced. They're exactly the same distance apart from each other in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Next, we're going to practice this with a metronome, which is one of the most useful and valuable tools that we have to help us in our practice. You can get some great free metronome apps in the Play Store and the App Store. I'll leave a link below to the one that I use, but basically any free metronome app will do just fine. So firstly, I'm going to start it clicking away with a tempo of 55 BPM. It's off screen here, you can't see it, but you can hear it. And that's clicking away there at 55 beats per minute. Now your metronome might be able to give you a different tone for the first beat of the bar, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's very handy because it's always very clear where the first beat is. If your metronome doesn't do this, don't worry. The only difference is you might have to concentrate a little bit more on the counting in the beginning stages. Now, we're going to place our down strum on each click like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice that my hand is still moving up after every down strum, even though I'm not strumming the strings. So now let's add those strums into the mix, counting again like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And finally, it's time for some chords. Let's go with a G chord, and we're going to do the same strumming pattern we did just a moment ago. Down, up, down, up, down, up, etc. with the metronome. Clicking away, here we go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So as you practice this, count the beats out loud. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just holding down the one chord. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and relax. Metronome off. Well done. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? The last exercise for this video now is going to be to change some chords while we strum, all in time with the metronome. So what we'll do is we'll play G for a count of 4, then we're going to switch to D for a count of 4, and we'll repeat that a couple of times. G for 4, D for 4, G for 4, D for 4. Now the goal here is to make the changes quickly enough so as to not interrupt the flow of the strum pattern. So I want you to just watch me do it first, then scroll the video back and play along. So metronome on again, and here we go. 3 and ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and keep it going. G, 2, 3, 4 and D. Once again, G. And relax. Again, great job, well done. So what's really important when we add the chord changes is to ensure that we can change chords in our fretting hand quickly enough to make sure that we have the fingers in place right when the next beat of 1 rolls around. If you're finding 55 BPM too fast for that for now, then don't worry, that's exactly what a metronome is for. What you can do is slow down to a tempo where you can comfortably manage those changes and work on building up your speed from there. You can also have a look at my video on cheating with chord changes, which will offer a few more tips on how you can improve your chord changes and your strumming coordination. And that link, of course, is in the description. So, to recap the steps that we've just taken, the first thing we did was we muted the strings with our fretting hand and we just strummed down, up, in a nice regular motion with our strumming hand for 30 seconds or so, taking care to ensure that the wrist doesn't move. There's no twisting or turning like this. It's all one straight line from the elbow. The second thing we mentioned was that strumming patterns work the same whether we're using a plectrum, as I am right now, or whether you're using your nails, your fingers to strum. The principle is basically the same. Third, we talked about how strumming incorporates counting beats within it because of this regular motion. We talked about the pendulum. The pendulum keeps time for a clock. Your strumming hand keeps time for your playing. So it's built into this motion, which is very, very handy. Number 4 was we mentioned practice with a metronome. We were playing at 55 beats per minute, and it's ticking away there. Metronomes are super useful for so many types of practice. Everyone should use them all the time. The fifth thing we did was we added chords to our strum, so we're now going 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, and finally we added chord changes. So we went G, 2, 3, 4, then to D, 2, 3, 4. And the key thing here was to make sure that the change lands right on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Let me just turn that off. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found something useful in it, and please feel free to re-watch and play along with the exercises as often as you feel you need to before moving on to the next video. There are 4 videos in total in this series. The links are all below in the description. There's a lot of links in that description right now. But for now, happy strumming!